I just want to remind everyone that it's straight up totally okay to just be vibing and not really doing anything. I think that sometimes this notion of hyperproductivity can be very damaging and toxic. It can make a lot of individuals not feel good about themselves if they're not doing certain things by a certain deadline, and I'm not about that at all. I'm not in full support of any of that. I think that everyone's definition of being productive varies from person to person. There's no right or wrong way to do things and to live your life. To some people, being productive can simply just be, you know, taking care of themselves, having a good time, doing whatever makes them happy. For me, I know that taking care of my mental well-being has always been my #1 priority. So whenever I feel myself just kind of like tipping off that scale, I like to kind of reassess where I'm at and remind myself, hey, you know, you haven't been feeling so hot lately, and I just want to let you know, so we're gonna do some things here to make sure that we're back on track and we find our center again. For others, productivity can mean getting things done in like an academic sense, or a much more tangible way where it feels like you're working towards more like solid career goals or anything of that sort. But I think I just really wanted to emphasize on the fact that there's so many ways in which you can be productive, and it's not just one straight narrow path that you have to follow simply because everyone else is doing it. Just live your own life, do your own thing. I wanted to make this video because I've noticed that I have a very particular pattern when it comes to doing things. I've realized that I get these waves of when I feel really inspired, very driven, and I want to accomplish all these things. But then what will end up happening is that something will happen and then I'll fall into this rut, and all of the feelings of inspiration and motivation that I had just days ago are completely gone, just out of the window. I don't know where it went. And so in time, I've become a little bit more self-aware of this pattern, and I've developed like these little habits or things that I'll do in order to get myself out of this rut. And the thing is, being in this rut, it's not necessarily a bad thing. As we all know, not to be like cliche or cheesy, it's very important to have the lows in your life in order to really appreciate the highs. Because if you only had highs, then every day would feel the same and you wouldn't really be able to be super appreciative of everything, given the fact that you don't know how bad it can get sometimes. So yeah, I really just wanted to make this video and share some tips and tricks with you guys. And of course, if there's anything that you want to share, feel free to leave them down below. I've noticed ever since we've been in quarantine, I developed this need to overstimulate my brain to the point where I can't solely focus on one single thing. I become scared of silence and just having dead air around me, so I would always be doing 2 different things at once. If I'm working on an assignment, I'll also be watching a podcast. If I'm watching a movie, I'll be on TikTok. In a way, I think it was like my way of trying to cope with my anxious feelings, but in doing all of that, I just made my problem worse. Instead, what I'll do these days is put on a little ambient sound in the background. One of my absolute favorite channels is this channel right here, Japan 4K. It's literally just a bunch of like street videos of them walking through any part of Tokyo, and because they're all like decently long, 20 to 40 minutes, I can get so much work done in that one session. You can see that I've watched a whole bunch. And then the atmosphere, ambiance, and because it's in 4K, you know the quality is like popping off. It's insane. So if you're looking for a good ambiance channel, this is the one. This is the one that I refer to religiously every single day. I start off my mornings with this playing in the background and it makes me so unbelievably happy. I find that picking up new hobbies has been such a refreshing cleanse to my everyday routine when things start to feel stale and boring. Sometimes it's not just a change of scenery, it's also a change of action. I picked up a number of hobbies in the span of these last couple of months and also revisited a bunch of old ones. And Skillshare has been a huge help in helping me foster these new skills. Thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. They are an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. I mentioned before that I've been using Skillshare to help improve my creative writing skills, and I wanted to share with you the current class that I'm taking to improve my storytelling abilities. It's called Writing Authentic Fiction: How to Build a Believable Character by Saba Tahir, who is the author of An Ember in Ashes, an extremely popular fantasy book. All the lessons are broken down into easy, digestible pieces, and I'm constantly referring back to them while I'm writing my own chapters. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare's premium membership, and after that, it's only $10 a month. You know what? Sometimes you do need that time of when you're not really doing anything. Is it necessarily a bad thing? No, not at all. Go play your games, paint your nails, read that book, do something just for the heck of it. Sometimes you do need these moments to just recharge. Just remember, it's not a bad thing to enjoy life as it is. Don't feel guilty. I'm the kind of person that gets energized from seeing my friends. Social gatherings typically drain me, but when I'm with my close friends, it's a completely different story. Before we went into another lockdown, I was able to have a little sleepover with my 2 friends that I've known since high school. I miss them so much, and I realized how encouraging it could be to surround yourself with your loved ones. We can get wrapped up in our busy schedules very easily, so don't forget to reach out and let your friends and family know that you appreciate them. If you're able to meet up with your friends in person, plan something out. But if not, a call to talk about your day can also be as therapeutic. This book right here, Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon, 10 Things Nobody Told You About Being Creative, is definitely one of my favorite practical, non-gimmicky books out there. I think every creative should own, just because I picked up so many little things from here, and there's one section that I really wanted to share because I feel like it ties in perfectly with the topic of this video. There's one section in this book that's called Practice Productive Procrastination. Yes, you can be productive when you're procrastinating. This one section in particular talks about how procrastination is a good thing, and sometimes your brain actually needs it. Sometimes it's important for your brain to be bored, because that's when the best ideas come to fruition. I want to just go ahead and read this one paragraph right here that I think really applies to the overall topic of this video. Take time to be bored. One time I heard a coworker say, "When I get busy, I get stupid." Ain't that the truth? Creative people need time to just sit around and do nothing. I get some of my best ideas when I'm bored, which is why I never take my shirts to the cleaners. I love ironing my shirts. It's so boring. I almost always get good ideas. If you're out of ideas, wash the dishes. Take a really long walk. Stare at a spot on the wall for as long as you can. As artist Myra Coleman says, avoiding work is a way to focus my mind. Take time to mess around. Get lost, wander. You never know where it's going to lead you. So sometimes it's important to give like your brain that rest and moment of peace of just doing absolutely nothing. So don't feel bad if you feel like you're not really accomplishing much, because in you not really doing anything can be that step towards you figuring out what you need to do next. So I had this whole thing planned for my last point, and I was gonna do what I typically do, which is like shoot a bunch of shots and everything, but then I decided, you know what, let's just take a different route and talk about what I've been going through, because I know that sometimes when I talk about my own experiences, a lot of you guys can really relate to it, and in doing so, it might help you guys a little bit more than just giving out a very general tip. So I just wanted to take this little moment while I'm snuggled up in bed and it looks like I'm about to take a fat nap, which I probably will after this, but I wanted to talk about how these days, these past couple of weeks, I almost want to say these past 2 months, it's been really hard for me to be in that super productive mindset, and it's gotten to the point where this semester is ending soon, which technically means that these past couple of weeks should have been crazy hectic for me, but for some reason, despite all of the things that I'm supposed to do, I don't have that overarching sense of anxiety, which actually pushes me to get those things done. And instead, I've kind of adopted this very weird, like chill sort of attitude towards it. And to some of you, you might be like, that's a really good thing because you're not getting stressed. But to me, I take it as like a bad sign, because that means that I'm not putting in the amount of work that I need to, and I'm being too lax about it, which is kind of concerning, because typically when I'm in a very positive and good mental place, I will get anxious. I think like being stressed, being anxious is just a part of life, and you need to have a very good healthy amount at least to function properly and get things done. But I like realized, dang, I just don't have any of that anxiety right now, and I don't know why. And so honestly, like, I'm making this video to help you guys, but it's also to help me. A lot of the videos that I make, it's very much sort of like a healing thing for me and for me to refer to as well. And I always get so, I always have very mixed feelings whenever I see people comment on my videos and they're like, you're so productive. I always think in my head, if only you knew what I was doing at this very second, or like for this past week, I've been doing absolutely nothing. And before, I used to feel really guilty about it, but I think I let go of like that very toxic mindset where it's like, I need to be accomplishing things 24/7. Otherwise, I won't be able to reach my goals or get to where everyone else is at. Now I'm more so just like chilling, but then because I'm just chilling so hard, it's like I don't really have that sense of like purpose anymore, which is also concerning because I like having that. And it's totally fine to not have like an overarching goal. I think that's completely overrated, you know, because like you should live your life, have a good time, especially right now, given that we're in a pandemic and a quarantine and stuff. A lot of what I do to get excited about things, such as like going out, seeing people, it's all of that has been stripped away from me. So I want to say like some of that has just been out of my control. And if you feel that way as well, just know I'm in it with you, okay? Sometimes it's not about saying things will get better. It's also understanding like, hey, I understand that you're trying your best, you're working really hard, and you have these days where you're really trying to hold on. And sometimes that's all you can do, right? It's a process. It's not this very narrow uphill situation. It's a very bumpy road all throughout. And I just wanted to say that and end this video on this note, because I just don't want to be making another video where, you know, it's a very curated list of things to do, because it's much bigger than just applying like these tips and tricks. It's also understanding where you're at and acknowledging like you're trying so hard, and I see that and I'm proud of you, you know, and I think I'm proud of myself. I'm also very emotional because I think my period is coming, so that's also why I think I'm having this very deep talk. But yeah, so just wanted to let you guys know, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are all doing well, staying safe, and I will see you next time. Bye.